What's up, everyone? This is Christian Duke. You're on strengthaddicts.com. Another great industry interview. This one's with my good friend, Jerry Ward, Mr. BioS3 in the house. Jerry, what's up?
Christian, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. And in fact, we're about 20 minutes late. I was rendering a video. Jerry's such a sport. Wait, I really appreciate that.
Well, things happen, man, like technology,
Definitely. And actually, the whole rendering of the video and video production, all that really ties into my first question for you. So I've got 7 of them. And I don't normally like to write out questions. It's really not my style. But like when you have someone like Jerry on here, there's so much to ask. I don't want it to be like, oh, man, I wish I would have asked that, like right as we end the interview. So the first question deals with, I guess, the $1 million question that everybody would like to ask you is, how do you develop a successful YouTube channel?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm just going to shoot straight with you. I think honestly, YouTube now is very watered down, and it's to the point where, when I first started, if you were a YouTuber, people were like, wow, you're a YouTuber? Like, yeah, I'm like a professional YouTuber. Like, I get paid for it. I travel with it and stuff. It's technically a business. And then everybody just kind of, once they figured out you can make money doing it, they just flooded like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber too. So anybody that could make a channel did. And then it became like, I guess watered down, you could say. It's pretty much what it is. So now it's like, how do you get a good YouTube channel now? Like, you don't be like everybody else. Like, that's just what you got to do. Because like, what happened was, originally it was like when I started, there was like me, there was Rich Piana, there was Lobliner, there was Chris Jones and Physiques of Greatness, there was Legends of Aesthetics, there was Hodge Twins, like all these guys, Mike Rashid, C.T. Fletcher, and all of us were different. But then you started seeing people pop up starting to copy the way that we did things. I mean, even you've seen people like even copy the way that my videos are done. Like sit in front of a camera with an iPhone, like square up the shoulders and stuff like that. Like they try to do everything that you're doing, and they figure like it's a formula because you did it and it worked. So they'll just follow your formula that you built. But the problem is it's not the formula. It's the people on YouTube react to you differently than other social media because you can't really hide who you are. I mean, you can, but it's clear that you're hiding who you are. If you turn on the camera and go and you don't really edit it, you have to be yourself, right? So they're going to tell really quick whether or not you're hiding something, you're lying, whatever the case may be. If you're building a character, you're not really being yourself. People are going to figure it out really quick. So I think as far as having the best YouTube channel or that you could, just be yourself. Be original ideas, original content. I mean, I've said stuff like basketball is not cardio, which completely flipped people out of their minds for like 5 years. They still hate me because of it, right? But that's something other people would be like, maybe I shouldn't put that up. I don't want to get the backlash. I don't want to upset people. And I'm like, well, I have this to say. I'll deal with it as it comes. You know what I mean? So being yourself and doing your thing, I think is probably the most important thing.
Absolutely. And, I know that you don't like the drama. I mean, I know that it's not your thing, but
it was. I mean, it was. Let's be real. It was when I first started. I was all about the drama because I didn't understand. Like, to me, it was real. The drama was real. Like, I wanted to fight people that said stuff about me. It was actually Matt Ogus. I was with Matt Ogus at Arnold, probably 2010 or 11 or something like that. And him and Yucky Lovato were sitting with us, and they were like, "Listen, we know you're new to this. These are like young kids, right? Like 20 years younger than me. They're like, but don't take this stuff so serious. Like, it's not real, And like I was like, okay, it didn't make sense at the time. Now I understand like the trolling and the drama that's created just to have drama. But back then, I would argue with anybody. I'll meet up and punch you in the face like it was, I was like a teenager again. Like as far as this one.
But I mean, and especially now too, and people are saying that, YouTube, I don't know if it's true or not. It looks kind of like true that they're playing with the numbers a little bit. And,
yeah, definitely.
People are watching stuff like with my channel, they watch it on Facebook and it's like, I'm getting all this feedback, not like tons, but like, probably around the 100 number. I'm looking over on the YouTube side and I'm not really seeing it.
Yeah, no, YouTube's had some issues, and I don't believe they're issues, but my YouTube advisor won't talk about it. Like, they're just like, no, nothing's going on. So not only have all the numbers dropped for everyone across the board, but people with 1 million viewers can't even break 100,000 on a video right now. Like, that just seems absurd to me. Like, what is going on? And like, I forget who it was. There was a YouTuber that actually put the stats. He actually put like 5 different YouTubers. One was Rich Piana, one was me, and there's a couple other people. You could see all of us dropped at the same time. And there would literally be no reason. There's no way that all of us made somebody upset at the same time to make our views drop. And that was like years ago that was happening. And then you could see it like certain times a year it would bump up, it would drop down again. And then they came out with that click the bell thing, right? We were talking about that the other day. Click the bell. Well, even if you click the bell, people are still not seeing your stuff. So they'd click the bell and then be like, Jerry, you okay? And send me an email. And I'm like, yeah, why? Like, I haven't seen anything from you in like 2 months. And I'm like, bro, I put up a video a day. And they go to the channel and they're like, I didn't get alerted, right? And then they look and they're unsubscribed. And they're like, what? You know, and then my wife, excuse me, was unsubscribed 3 times from my channel. And when I mentioned that to the YouTube rep, they were like, no, she must be hitting it by mistake. And I'm like, she does heart surgery for a living. She does these minute little millimeters. You're trying to tell me she can't figure out that that button's too close to her finger. She hits it by accident all the time. Like, something is not right. And they just kept, denying it. But now here we are in everybody's views. It seems like no matter what you do, like, unless you're doing the drama things, those seem to get a lot of clout for some reason. Like, it seems to beat the algorithm for some reason. I think that's from people sharing it. And the more that they share it for the drama, it picks up in the algorithm and it pushes it a lot further like that. But as far as numbers wise, to me, I look at it as like, I really enjoy doing YouTube. It gave me a platform. It let me launch, my businesses and stuff from it, but it allowed me to be myself, my true authentic self, and people to see it rather than be on the other social medias at the time that was, turning into like Photoshop pictures and somebody else is writing the posts for them. It's not even them anymore. So for me, even if I was making no money and only getting like 5 views on YouTube, I'd still be doing it.
That's a lot of interesting things in there as well, because, I love doing it also. I do the contest coverage, and, most of the money that I get is through sponsorships for that coverage. I don't actually make really any money. I might make, to be totally honest, between $1,000 and $2,000 a year on YouTube, which is nothing. I mean, you can't do anything with that, but, it's interesting because you do look at some of the folks that are involved in the drama, like Kenny KO, for example. And I like Kenny, he's a good guy, I mean, we don't agree on everything. I'm sure you and I don't agree on everything, but he's doing really well, and it's like, one week it's Jack Owak, the other week it's whoever. And it's like Jack Owak, he attacks a lot, but, so that might be something I would think the complete opposite. YouTube would want the positive stuff, not the negative stuff, but his channel doesn't seem to be affected. The other thing though, too, is that, if you use YouTube to market yourself, like with GFC Labs, with your personal training, your contest prep, it's really worthwhile, and you get to have that connection to the fans, which is really cool. And then something that you also said about hiding, I think, if people meet you in person and the whole thing you do on YouTube is a big front, like a big sham, you're going to lose a lot of supporters. So I think it's really good advice that you give, that to be yourself on social media, because, you will quickly be discovered as a fraud otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when you see these people, like, I've seen pictures of people, then you see them at an expo, and I'm like, you don't even recognize them hardly, because they don't look like they photoshopped it like crazy or whatever. Or you hear them talking, and like they're talking like completely different than how they post stuff. And I'm like, there's no way that that's your vocabulary you use online, and this is you in real life. Like, this is 2 different people doing this, And then people get around them and start asking questions. They're like, oh, I saw this post that you made in this day, and the person didn't really post it, so they don't even know what they're talking about. And they're like, oh, yeah. And they don't even know. And the person's looking at them going, they don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, did they really post that? And then they start to lose, like, I don't say interest, but it really kind of upsets the people when they think they know you and they find out that they don't. I understand that, social media, online, it's not real life. Everybody says that. Well, I'm sorry. To me, it's real life. I just don't want to be anything other than just myself. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense to me to create something that is so fake and so false that eventually it's going to get found out. There's no way you're going to be able to hide it. And then it's going to destroy everything in your life. We've seen people lose everything because they made up something and the truth came out and their whole life was destroyed. And, either they're off doing something else now. Some people wind up, killing themselves over it and stuff like that, all because they made up a bunch of crap online and tried to be something that they weren't. You know what I mean?
I wish I have a little tube of toothpaste over in the desk. It would have been great to just show it on camera, but I know what you're saying, because you can't, once you squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't squeeze it back in. That would have been epic. But anyways, yeah, but it actually brings up the Larry Wheel situation with Kenny KO, and not to put Kenny on blast or anything, because he's right a lot of the times. But, when you put out a video, this video will end this guy's career, and it comes out that it's not true.
Right.
It's rough. But going back to this question too, the last thing I want to ask you about is being yourself and not having a filter, really, because you don't have a filter. You really don't. You're one of the few that don't. Yeah. Have you ever lost a friendship or really strained a friendship by simply reporting the news?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I think most people know that some things that I say are not meant to hurt or harm anyone. If I say something, it's legitimately how I feel about something, how I see something, or my opinion on something. But I'm not one to go out there and really mess with people. And I'm not saying I did in the past. You know what I mean? In the past, I trolled people. When I found out what trolling was, I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. And then I realized, like, it's not fun because the other person doesn't know you're doing it to them. Like you're being sneaky. You're getting one over on them, and it's not like they could even be aware of it because they have no idea. It's like, so perfect example when Greg Valentino first contacted me, right? We're going back years. I got an email and it was all in capital letters, right? And it says Greg Valentino. I'm like, there's no way this is Greg. Like I thought I was a troll. I'm like, there's no way. So I forget. I think I forget who I called. I said, hey, this is the email that came to me. And they're like, no, that's him. And I was like, it is? Like the first thing in my mind was, it's fake because that's the way the internet is, right? It's just all this fake crap. And it turned out to be him. So I just kind of like, it's hard to discern what is real and what's not online anymore. So I'm like, what I need to do is like, and I don't know, I haven't really paid attention to everyone out there, but many people that I've seen throughout the years have had either a lot of bridges burned or they've had relationships that you've seen public go, completely sideways and stuff. And if you look at the course of when I started social media, you're not going to find anyone that I'm not still on good terms with. Like even if I can't see eye to eye with them, I just go, I don't understand it. I don't see it, but I'm not going to demean that person or go after them or defame them or whatever just because they don't agree with me. You know what I mean? So I look at this whole social media thing as a little bit differently now than I used to like in the past.
Definitely. No, and earlier I wasn't really talking about trolling, but that's a great point that you make. But sometimes, when you report the news, I've noticed that, some news outlets have been accused. I'm not saying that that's the case, but they've been accused of kind of going a little soft if the news deals with a sponsor or not. Like we saw something like that with RX Muscle.
Totally understandable, yeah. It's just how the industry is, yeah.
But I don't ever see that with you. And I think it's fortunate that you've never lost any friendships as a result of just speaking the truth, because, people can't be that upset with you. They might, and again, once you start playing favorites, then your objectivity kind of like goes out the window and then people don't take you seriously. And that's why I think your channel is so successful. But talking about burning bridges though, you don't burn bridges, but you've worked for 5% Nutrition, you've worked for Primeval, now you have GFC Labs, your own company. Maybe talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people in this industry, everything's hunky-dory when they sign, but if anything, any bump in the road, if there's a split, it's like, it's like on, and you don't do that. And to date, you can go back to Primeval, you can go back to 5%, you have no problems doing that.
Yeah, my first sponsorship was with a company called Big Bitch Formula. It was a protein that came out. It was like a weight gainer that had creatine in it, but it was a protein that had creatine in it. And that was the first opportunity that I had. And I was actually getting paid for it. It was a great opportunity. And, the person that owned it became like one of my closest friends. And then when it was time for me to move on, and he totally understood and stuff. And I was with I'llPumpYouUp.com. They'd give me a sponsorship early on. And these are all paying sponsorships. This is not like, where you get some protein per month or something. These are all paying sponsorships. And then I worked with Isatori for a little bit. Now, the way Isatori thing went down was I never technically worked for them. Steve and Natalie became a very close friend of mine. So I was able to do some different work with them. And then 5% came along. I worked with them, then Primeval. Now, my thing is always, every single one of these companies, I think that especially, I'd say maybe it's calming down now, but for a period of time, most of the athletes, their egos were so big, they felt like they were the company. Well, you can't tell me to do this. Without me, you don't have a company. Like I remember hearing things like that from people, and I'm like, that's not true. That company, they can replace you with someone else like that and keep going on. You know what I mean? They'll take a little bit of a loss, but the egos are so big that these people are fighting with the companies. And I'm like, you don't realize that you have an opportunity that 99% of the people out there want. You have it, and you're arguing about something stupid because you want more or something like that. So I always looked at it when I walked in these situations is they're the boss. They're the company. I'm here to try to help them, and they're here to pay me. That's a symbiosis that we can go back and forth with and try to help each other, grow the companies. And that was the thing, that's why when, the opportunity came up for Primeval, I just went right to Rich, directly and said, hey, this is what's going on. And I think that, he really respected that. And he was always like left the door open, like come back anytime if things don't work out. He would call me and be like, hey, is everything, working out with them? Are they doing what they said they're going to do? Like he'd even come up to the booth, like at the expos when he was walking by and be like, are they taking care of you? Like, he would always check. And I'm like, that's where I wanted to leave things with every company, where you never know down the road who you might wind up working with or, starting a company with or whatever the case may be. Somebody that you worked well with in the past might be your future. So why would you burn that bridge when the future hasn't even happened? You don't know what's going to take place in the future, And don't get me wrong, there's things that I've seen that what I basically do is just don't get involved with those people or companies. So if I can sniff something out that I think seems a little weird, or it's not what I want to do or how I would handle myself or whatever, or it's just a company that I'm like, these people are crazy or whatever it is, I just won't go near that company. Like I'll just kind of back off and be like, thank you for the opportunity, whatever the case may be. So the companies that I've been involved with, I was able to, before I signed with them, kind of get a feel as to who they really were as people in the company itself and the culture of the company. So when I got in there, I knew that I fit in those companies. It wasn't just taking a company for a paycheck. And that makes a big difference when you're leaving that company for a better opportunity, and the one that you were with, that you really fit in. I didn't want to leave 5%. I loved being part of 5%. I felt like I really fit into that group, but it was time for me to move on. So why would I burn that bridge? They didn't do anything wrong. Just another opportunity came up, So it's like, it didn't make any sense for me not to just go there, be honest with Rich. And because I was honest with him, I think that's why he was so cool about it. He was just like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, that's absolutely cool. No problem. So for me, it's always been, who you're working with now is who you've set yourself up with. So that should be people that you trust and you want to be working with. If something comes up that you no longer like, be honest with them, be cool with them, be cordial with them. Like Primeval, I'm still very close to the owners of Primeval. And then down the road, you never know, an opportunity might come up. And let's say one of the owners of Primeval says, I have this idea, man. I get this, maybe it's not a supplement. Maybe it's like a board game. Like, I got this idea. I think Jerry would be good for it. And next thing you know, we're making board games for Parker Brothers or something,
Right. Well, and I wanted to ask you one quick question, but I also want to ask you a little bit more about 5% because it just came up, something came up. But before I ask you about that, do you, and this is personal, so if you don't want to answer, totally understand, but do you consult Aaron before you make any decision to leave a company or join a company? Because I find that significant others often have like this very, very keen instinct, even if maybe they're not like in the center of the fitness industry.
So, I'll tell you this story, which is a true story, and I wish she was here. She's we're actually at work right now. So when I talked to Primeval and decided I was going to go out on my own, she was at work that day. So I was on the phone with Primeval. I said, I think it's best that I go my own way. You guys can take the money that you're paying me. You can hire multiple athletes with that amount of money. We've tapped out my following. I think it'd be good for you guys, to go this way, and I'll go my way. So I literally got off the phone with them and then sent a message to my wife at work. I said, hey, and I actually had the flu, which is, I never get sick. So she was worried about me having the flu. I says, hey, I'm feeling okay. I'm having a hard time drinking water even, but, oh yeah, and I quit Primeval today too. Like, that's how I presented. She was like, what? She was like, what happened? I was like, it's not a bad thing. I said, but that was how it went down. Like, I didn't even think about whether I should check with her first, because I don't want her to check with me about things that are involved with her work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand everything with her work. I don't understand everything that goes into what decisions she makes with her work. Therefore, I need to trust the fact that she knows what she's doing. And if she takes another job, like she took this other job, it's extremely difficult. It's called they use something called loops. They're like these glasses that magnify. So when they're doing heart surgery, they magnify even more. There's only so many people that can do this. So she took on this role, and it was extremely difficult. And it really wore on her, and that was her thing. As long as she was able to handle it, I was like, hey, if you need my help, ask me. If not, just roll with it,
Yeah, and I just got to throw this out because you talk about it on your lives. I can't get over how long are her shifts? Like 15 hours or something?
Oh, they could be, well, they're normally about 12 to 13 hours. I think she works 4 12s a week, but they can be anywhere from 12 to 36 hours straight.
And she doesn't take any caffeine at all?
Nope, she's been off caffeine for over a year now. Yeah, she used to drink coffee, like this cold brew stuff in the morning, just to get out of bed. But she'd have like headaches. She was addicted to coffee, right?
The cold brew is twice as caffeinated as regular coffee. Yeah.
And I didn't know that, by the way. When I moved in with her, it was in the fridge, and I just slammed it, and I had no idea that I'd taken like 500 milligrams of caffeine at once. I had no concept of it. Oh. But I went off caffeine specifically because I was doing so many energy drinks and pre-workouts. I was taking a lot. And I was having these lulls during the day that, like, even if you drank caffeine, you wouldn't come back up. It was just, my body was getting desensitized to the caffeine. So I stopped. And when I stopped, I was so energetic that she was watching me going, like, I've known you for like 13 years. You've never been like this. Like, what happened? And I was like, I just feel good. I have energy all the time. So she decided she was going to do it. Now, again, like you're saying, her situation is different than mine. I have to have somebody do walking lunges. She has to do somebody's heart surgery. You know what I mean? Hmm. So, but it's like she's performing better now than she did before without the caffeine. So it's crazy.
And I'd love to see you on that much caffeine. And I hate to name drop you, although it does help with hits. But like that Greg Duchette guy, man, he seems like he's on quite a bit of caffeine because he's like so like, like crazy. But maybe that's just natural. But the only thing with 5% I just wanted to include real quick too is that, I caught a little bit of crap for saying that Rich was my friend, but he was my friend in the sense that, for about 5 years, only on Arnold Classic, I would do an interview with him. And the last couple of years, he'd have me stay at the booth. He'd be like, no, I want you to stay at the booth. We'll do the interview after. Everybody's gone. And it was really cool because, like, literally everybody was gone. And, over the course of a couple hours, we'd talk and that kind of thing. But you, in terms of the real inner circle, I mean, I would never, but in the real inner circle, there's only very few people. You were one of those people. Matt Truck, I believe, was one of those people. There wasn't that Viking, I think, but like there was a very, very small number. And the thing that I think is, sort of a bitter pill to swallow for a lot of the people that maybe join the team later, half the people that Rich signed towards the end, he didn't even know who they were.
Yeah, that's actually true. So first of all, like I want to make sure that this is clear because I want the truth to be out there. So there was an inner circle, but there was an inner circle. And that inner circle was Viking, Mac Truck, Viking, Mac Truck. I'm trying to think who else was with them at that point. Angel, which I don't think we see him much on here, with the tattoo artist.
His ex-wife, I would think.
Yeah, Jane. But it was like those guys were the ones that, when he first came up with that concept, were the ones that helped facilitate that. Like they were, no, it's cool. Like I think it's actually a good idea, But those were his guys that were like, even before 5% any of that stuff happened, they were still around him. Like they were still friends with him before that. And then it started to kind of branch out a little bit where I got the call from, I was with allpuppyup.com and I got the call asking me to be part of 5%. I was like, I'll be part of 5% if Rich will be in my videos. Because I knew it would help, my channel. And it took like 2 minutes for him to be like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, cool. So I just signed. Now, I had never met Rich. I'd seen him once at the Arnold. I bought one of those Love It, Kill It shirts like a couple years prior. When I got to Vegas, which was our first event at the Olympia together, I was walking through the Westgate. He was walking through a Viking. And as soon as he saw me, he goes, oh, Jerry. And I'm like, hey, Rich. He knew exactly who I was. And he introduced me to Viking. He's like, oh, yeah, Jerry used to be a wrestler. He knew everything about me. And I was like, damn. I said, I don't know if somebody briefed him or if he, I have no idea. But he knew, like, everything about me. So when I got to the booth the next day, he's like, this is Jerry. He's like, these are the guys. And he started, introducing me to all the guys. And, like, Big Boy was there. Pitbull was there. It was a different crew than it was, like, at the end. And then as 5% started to grow, there was, like, more and more people coming in. So, like, it was almost like the athletes came in waves. So there's, like, the inner circle, which was Mac Truck and Viking and, Angel and those guys and Darren. And then there was, like, the one that I was in, which was those guys, but then a few other people inside that one, like Big Boy and those guys. And then it started branching out. Then you had, like, Martin in there. You had, people that I had no idea who they were. You know what I mean? Like, I'd show up to a booth and, like, there's all these people. And I'm like, who the hell are these people? Like, I didn't know. But by the time it was all done, I think that 5% Nutrition, if you had to say, of all time, a company that had the most followers of all time, I'd probably say 5% at that point had more followers than any other brand, I think, in the history of the sport, to be totally honest with you. Because it wasn't just about the sport. It was about the lifestyle. And they really gave people something to be part of that made them feel like they were part of something. They really felt like, if they had a Love It, Kill It hat on, they felt like they were part of the crew because they'd wait 4 hours in line to see Rich. They'd get up there and he would treat them like he was like one of their family members. And then they figured they just get a picture and walk away. And Rich holds them up and talks to them for 10, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So it was like they really felt like they were a part of something. And then they go right down the line and introduce themselves to all of us, take pictures with all of us down the line. By the time they get down to the bottom of the line, they'd be like, oh, this is so cool. We'd be like, oh, you want to hang out? Like, we like invite them right over and sit down and hang out for a little while, So it was like, it definitely was a different culture that he created. I think that's what he wanted, what Rich wanted. But, oh man, there's nothing, there never was anything like it before. And I don't think there'll be anything like it ever again.
No, definitely. And then, like the last year, I remember like I sat on that red couch with him, and it was like when everybody was leaving, and it made me feel so good because Ian Villere, I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but he was about to talk about something that was like obviously off the record, and he looked at me and he looked at Rich like, and Rich was like, oh no, good, he's good. It made me feel like he had that personality, you know what I mean? And I feel like Viking had it, you had it, Mac Truck had it. And I feel like, and the only other thing I'll say about that, just to move on, but I feel like when you left 5%, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like, I don't know if it was like that tapped out thing, like with Primeval, or if you just wanted to move on, but I feel like if you would have named a price, Rich would have matched that price to get you to stay. But I think at the point you left, you were ready to start the new chapter.
Yeah. It actually wasn't money, to be honest with you. 5% was, or Rich was like, oh, we're willing to match it. But the problem was, Primeval allowed me to create a brand around me. Like, I was the only one on that brand. It was going to be my face. I was going to be in all the ads. That's what I wanted since I started training as a kid. You know what I mean? You see the guy in the magazine holding up the protein jug. Like, that's what I wanted to be, the guy in the magazine. And Primeval said, we're going to do that for you. And they allowed me to formulate products. We came out with the BioS3 Intracell. We came out with the Xanax product, the BioS3 Xanax product, which is a sleep product. The essential amino acid formula, EA Max, was something that we brainstormed together. We were talking when I first got with the company that we needed to go EAs and away from BCAs. That turned out to be one of the biggest moves in the industry. Now everybody has an EAA, but Primeval was the first one that we did it with. So it was more about what is my legacy going to be like with Primeval as opposed to 5%. So I brought that to Rich and I said, look, can you make a BioS3 supplement for 5%? And he told me straight out, he said, look, I have a partner and that's not going to work. You know, like I would love to do it. He's like, but you know what? We just can't do that. You know, I wish you could. He goes, it's not a money thing. He was like, well, this thing revolves around me. You know, because if we did one for you, then we have all these other athletes. We'd have to start doing them for you. It's just not feasible. And I was like, I totally understand, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to make good on that before I decide, you know, to go with another company. And that's what it was. It wasn't about money. It was about now it's going to revolve around me. And now it did. You know, Primeval went from a very small, almost non-existent company to one of the biggest ones in the entire industry within 3 or 4 years. You know, and that was due to them knowing how to market and knowing how to use my image to market at the same time. But they allowed me to be me. Primeval never told me what to say. They never got mad if I swore, my language, anything like that. They didn't care what I wore. I mean, they really just did not care as long as I was being me. Because when they first saw me at 5%, they wanted me for being me. I think that's all they wanted. They didn't care about, you know, the things that I was saying or doing. They're like, this guy has something that we feel represents our brand. And if he keeps doing that, our brand's going to do well. And that's exactly what happened.
No, absolutely. And the thing too is I don't think really, I don't know, but I wouldn't say it was all Rich. Like you said, it was probably the partner also in the business model that they had. Yeah. And Rich was 5% basically. And that's why I think that people like yourself with the supplements, Mac Truck and Strength Cartel with the clothing, you couldn't do that within the model of 5%. And in fact, I almost think, and I'm not a business guy, but I almost think if 5% after Rich's passing would have just kept it the way that it was, probably would be doing better maybe than they are now, because you can't, I don't think you can recreate Rich. And I'm not saying that's what they were trying to do, but by, you know, tattoos aren't it, muscle isn't it, you can't have a new, and I'm not saying that's what they did, but I'm just saying if they would have just kept it exactly, and for a company that's probably very boring to keep it exactly as it is, but that's probably what would have probably worked the best. I don't know.
Right. Well, looking back now, like, of course, hindsight's 2020. You can always look back and connect the dots. That if Primeval, if 5% had started doing stuff like that, like the Mac Truck pre-workout, you know, the Viking post-workout, or whatever the case may be, that when Rich passed away, they would still have that team to promote. But since they didn't have it, they started trying to keep using Rich's image. The problem is everybody knows Rich has passed, and he was the glue holding it together. Now, Rich didn't want to be that anymore. Like, he's spoken out about that many times, like he wanted to retire and kind of hand the company off and stuff.
Really?
But I think that, you know, the vision that, you know, again, knowing now, none of us knew that Rich was going to pass away. So, like, you know, making those supplements, it would be like, well, if you have 60 athletes, you can't have 60 different supplements. So who do you pick and choose? Is that going to cause jealousy? Like, there's definitely, you know, things that would have to be worked out. But right now, you know what I mean? Let's say 5% in this, you know, I'd actually talked to a couple people 5% and said I thought this, you know, would be probably a better way. I would have kind of gone really hard towards the clothing side of it, because the clothing is what Rich wore and stuff, and gone special edition stuff like that, and kept that clothing line, which people would still wear in his memory, because the supplements they wanted when he was using them on camera. They wanted the supplements because they saw him using them. After he was gone, they didn't really want the supplements anymore, but they still wanted the shirts. They still wanted to wear what he wore and kind of imitate him as a kind of a tribute to him all the time. I see people still wearing their hats, their hoodies, their tank tops, but they don't buy the supplements anymore. But they still wear all that stuff. I still wear my stuff. You know, I still wear my 5% stuff all the time.
You know, and I feel bad because the guy, you couldn't ask for a nicer guy, the British guy, the real tall guy.
Martin.
Yeah, he's super nice. But I mean, I think eventually they just had to break off and do his own company. I think it's still 5%, but it's like its own thing because.
So I think he's gone from that now. So I think it's gone. But I mean, you know, what they tried to do is they were trying to replace Rich with him, it looked like. At least that's what people, I don't know if that's what their intention was, but people thought that they were trying to replace him, you know? And you just can't. Like, they have a new guy that this guy is even bigger than Rich. He's enormous, Lilo or something like that. And I'm looking at him going, I mean, that's awesome. But again, it's not Rich. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard because, you know, Rich was 5%. And, you know, I do not want to see the company go away because Rich loved it. It was his creation, you know, but it definitely has to evolve somehow. How? I don't really know. I mean, that's something for them to figure out. But it definitely has to evolve into another place so that it's still Rich Piana's 5%, but it doesn't mimic everything that it was before. And it's like a new entity that it would be the new version of what he wanted it to be. You know what I mean? Like, continuing his legacy as opposed to trying to replace him and just keep the company in the public eye with the same thing they were doing. It's like, look, he's gone. This company has to shift gears. I mean, I probably would completely change the labels. I would probably take him off all the labels and just have the signature on there, like the Rich Piana edition, stuff like that. Like, there's definitely things I think could be done a little bit better than what they did. And it's just my personal opinion. And I actually thought about, going back to 5%. Even when I had GFC Labs, I was thinking about making GFC Labs. I had built GFC Labs, and I was like, well, maybe I could go back and actually help them with something. I actually thought about going back and trying to help them. And I was like, I just really kind of want to do my own thing. That's what Rich wanted for me, in the end anyways. When I was actually leaving 5%, that discussion, he said that if anything ever happened with Primeval and I was going to, do something, come back to him, because he had all these other ideas for supplements that he didn't feel were good for 5%, but they were good for another company. And he wants to start that other company. So that was a constant talk that we had too, because he was like, are they taking care of you? Because if not, we got this other thing in the back burner. I'll put you right in the front of it like that. You know what I mean? So it was like a new thing. And I don't know what that was going to be. I know it definitely had protein powders and stuff that he normally wouldn't sell with 5% because he was more into like the food stuff. There's a lot of other stuff he wanted to do. So I know there was definitely opportunities that he wanted to do and other things he wanted to do. But as far as 5%, like 5% is Rich Piana. It's just the way it's going to be.
No, I couldn't agree more. And again, neither one of us are saying that 5% was trying to replace them. We're just saying,
absolutely, yeah,
yeah, it's maybe what it might look like a little bit, just perception
that people have, and the thing is, the reality is how people view things. You can have the best of intentions, but if they view it another way, your intentions look like it's an afterthought. Like, oh no, now we realize we're screwed. No, we were trying to do this. They're like, no, you weren't. Like, even though you were trying to do the right thing. So that's why I'm saying I'm not criticizing 5%. I think they're doing what they need to do to evolve. And anytime anything, including a company, evolves, there's going to be growing pains, right? There's going to be losses, there's going to be growing pains, there's going to be things that succeed, fail, until you get to the next evolution. And I think that Rich passing away kind of shut down that whatever it was going to evolve into eventually. They had to find a new thing to evolve, and I think that's what they're doing now.
Definitely. No, and I think, like, personally, I think just like the idea of maybe having some consultants to really just kind of keep it authentic. And I would say you, Mac Truck, Viking, and how they work that out is up to them. But I really think that would be definitely something to keep the brand true to itself. And speaking of the brand, also GFC Labs, which is doing really, really well. And it's your company. It's yes. Your thing. And I thought it was so cool too, how I think it was like 2 days ago or something like that, you said that there were some customers that wanted to order 4 at a time, and you thought they wanted a discount. And no, they actually wanted to show support to you by ordering more, because they were going to use it anyways during these really troubling times. So not only have you created this fantastic company with some really cutting edge supplements, but you've already developed a very, very loyal fan base, and now you're selling internationally. So
yeah, we just launched international. Like, the reason why people are doing that, they're ordering more product even if they didn't need it right now, was when the pandemic started, I saw these companies out there trying to promote their products and push their products. And at the time, we didn't drop any numbers. For like a month and a half in the pandemic, we didn't drop numbers at all. We were just straight across the board good. But as soon as it happened, I was like, I can't see myself out there putting on sales and trying to take because it wasn't that bad in the first couple of weeks. It was after like a month and a half that people really started like running out of money, having to go on unemployment. Like they were worried of going on food lines and stuff like that. And I'm like, as a business owner, I know I'm going to lose business, and I know this might hurt me, but I can't go out there and advertise when I know that $30 that they want to pay for supplements should go for food for their kids, because they're worried about their goals. Because I used to be so focused and so, like obsessive about things that I would have done stuff like that. So I just can't. If they're going to do it with someone else, that's on their conscience. But for me, I can't be out there promoting products. So I didn't promote the entire time we were on lockdown. I didn't do anything where I had sales. I wasn't putting out stuff about buying products, nothing like that. I was just put out things here and there about stuff that I was hearing about, like different products or whatever, or even talking about just motivational stuff. Like there was a thing the NPC put up about we're all in this together and stuff like that. I post stuff like that on there. And then once the gym started opening up and stuff again, that's when I started promoting again and doing sales and stuff like that. But all of a sudden I had people jump in and start buying 4 or 5 of a product. And I'm like, did you hit the button by mistake or something? And they're like, no, like we just know, like, times are tough, but we want to help. And I'm just like, really? I'm like, I didn't ask for that. And they're like, it doesn't matter, like just thank you. And I'm like, okay, it's like, for me, I'm the type of person, if you do something for me, I feel like I owe you. That's just how I grew up. It's just how I am. Nothing is for free. You always, return a favor to somebody and stuff like that. So when people do that stuff for me, I actually feel really bad about it. Like I feel awful about it, being like, they're trying to help me. I feel bad they're trying to help me. Like they should be helping somebody who really needs help out there with something else. You know what I mean? I'm okay. I'll take care of myself, So I have a hard time with like people thanking me or doing things for me, I get uncomfortable. Like I actually don't like that stuff because I just feel like if you do something for me, then I owe you, even though that's not how that works. Because I do things for people all the time, and I don't even want to thank you or anything. But for me, the way that I grew up, it's kind of that way, you know?
No, I know. I mean, but I also think, and it's not that like prop you up and put anyone else down, but like you do the Instagram lives almost every day. I mean, you do them in that horrendous DMV traffic, but you know what I mean? It's like, and if you guys have never been to Northern Virginia, Maryland, that area there, like it
It's
can
awful.
take you an hour to move like literally 5 blocks sometimes,
Yeah.
but you've always like really interacted with your fans. You treat them like friends, not even like fans, really, truly. You've always been very honest. With everything, even your business stuff, even sometimes when maybe it doesn't make the most business sense to have a booth, but you say, hey, I'm going to be at the expo. I'm going to be walking around. Come up and talk to me. A lot of people are a little shy about that, so I think that interaction really honestly has developed some pretty hardcore fans. And I think that's a really, really good thing. And the other thing too about your business is that it's you, yourself, and you. I mean, you're the shipper,
Yes.
you're the overseer, you do everything. So, maybe talk about that a little bit. Like why don't you have sponsored athletes? Or maybe I think you do, but like why don't you have more, a better question, why don't you have personnel? Why is it that you want to do everything yourself?
Well, specifically, that's a very easy answer. I want all the money myself right now. I think a lot of people, they go out there and they start this business and they get business loans, they hire all these people and they get all this overhead. And then it takes them 4 years to make money. And I'm like, listen, the person that coached me to do this is Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler knows how to make money. And when I was starting this, I said, I'm thinking about just doing it in my garage. And he goes, of course. He's like, why? He's like, I was in my garage for like 20 years. Because I was making $1.5 million out of my garage. He's like, why would I have gone anywhere else? There's no overhead, no employees. He was doing everything himself. And then he would hire somebody to like pack packages and stuff afterwards, but it'd still be out of the garage. So I said, you know what? He's right. I was like, as long as I can handle the work, why would I pay someone to act like a bigwig and sit on my chair and do nothing when that money can go right back into the business and I can grow this business even faster by doing all the work myself? So until I get to the point where I can't handle it, I'm doing the emails, I'm doing the website stuff, I'm doing the product formulations, I'm doing the packing, I'm doing the shipping, I'm doing everything. I'm doing Amazon, I'm doing the website. Everything is happening through me because I can handle it right now. So, that was my thing. Like I didn't get a loan for this. I don't have a partner. I took all my own money that I had saved. I created the company from that. I don't have any overhead. I don't have any leasing or anything like that. At home, I get to write a lot of stuff off for the business. So that helps out with that. So it didn't make any sense to like go out there. And I think a big mistake for a lot of companies is they try to look the part before they actually are the part. Like there are companies right now that if I told you the names of these companies that are doing poorly, you'd be shocked because they look like they're doing unbelievable. They have all these, but now they're starting to lay people off here and there and kind of, you're like, wait, if you're doing so great, why is that like that? Because they're not really doing that great. They jumped into a position where they were spending money that they didn't have yet when they weren't even established yet, like hiring all these employees, getting a warehouse. You don't even have customers yet. You already have a warehouse. You know what I mean? Like we're going to be shipping overseas. You don't even know about the company yet, but you're already paying for all these things that, it's just money coming out of your account. You're hemorrhaging money. So why would you do that? But on social media, you'll look awesome. I got this big warehouse. I got a new Ferrari. I got the new $14 million house. Meanwhile, you have nothing. Like you're living on credit. You know what I mean? And it's a house of cards that can fall at any time. And I was like, that's not what I want. Like if this thing fails, it's going to be because I failed, me as a person. I failed with this thing 100%. But if it succeeds, it's going to be because I did it myself at the same time. And I didn't need a loan. I didn't need a partner. I didn't need anything. It was just me,
No, absolutely. And I don't know why, but it seems to be like a fake it till you make it kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And really it's not necessary. It doesn't make the supplements taste any better, work any better, but like they just want to look a certain part. And like you said, if you don't have a pot to piss in, like, why are you trying to make it look like, you're rolling
Right.
around in Bentleys, So, and of course I want to name drop Gary Udit because, I love him and he's our mutual friend and he always talks about customer service. And I think, aside from making all the money and all that, and that's funny and it's very true too, but you also ensure the highest level of customer service when it's you that's doing everything.
Yes.
You never have to worry about a paid employee treating a customer the wrong way because you're dealing with the customers directly.
Yeah. And it's hard to find good help too, right? So like, this is everything I own. It's all wrapped up in this business. If I hand that off to somebody, they have to have that mindset that I have, that this is the most important thing in their life. And it's very hard to find someone like that. So therefore, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give it 110% all the time. And if there's a mistake, that mistake's on me. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I ship something to somebody and it's the wrong thing in the bag or the box or whatever. And I'm like, that's my fault. I apologize. Right? But if I had somebody that was working for me that wasn't really paying attention because they didn't take it as serious, that could be happening a lot more. And then you're spending more money shipping the new products out and you're losing money. You're making less profit. So it's like, it was to control the quality of the, I guess, the systems. The quality of the supplements is me. I control that through manufacturing. So that no matter who I have working for me, that would always be the same. But the quality of customer service, getting the products to the person and making sure they're happy, I felt like at least for now, it has to be me. And it's funny because people don't believe that it's me. They'll send like an email or a message or something like, hey, I get the wrong product. Can you, all right, cool. If you want to send it back, we'll send you the right one. You want a refund? What do you want to do? Like, oh, no, we want the real product. Like, we're just a huge fan of Jerry's. And I'll have to type back, hey, it's me. Like, I don't have anybody working for me. It's me. And then they, start freaking out. Or sometimes I'll pick up the phone and then PayPal, they have their phone numbers and I'll call just to talk to them. How do you like the supplements? How did you hear about them? I'll talk to them for about 20, 25 minutes. And I've called and had someone be like, who's this? I'm like, it's Jerry Ward from GFC Labs. And they hang up on me.
Get out of town.
It's like somebody like selling something. They don't think it's, they're like, no way, it's not him. I'm like, no, it's just me. It's only me. Like, I don't have anybody else working for me.
No, definitely. I mean, and again, I think that's amazing customer service. I mean, I think that's really, really good. And, it just ups the quality. I mean, customer service is so important and you're going to get that repeat business. And, the other thing too is that when you have such a closely held company as you do, you don't have to sacrifice. For example, I don't know if you advertise much or not, but you have a decision on where you advertise, where you don't. But a lot of companies, whether it's advertising or it's packaging, they actually sacrifice R&D because, the money's got to come from somewhere. So
Right.
sometimes the product is actually utter crap, but it's advertised everywhere. That's a
Right.
poor business decision, I think,
Absolutely.
So in your case, you have complete control. That's good.
Yeah, well, that was another problem that I had too. Like when I first started, people wanted the products in their stores and stuff too. So all of a sudden, like the product was flying out the door. And when most people would be like, well, Jerry, where you're selling them, where you're making, but the quality control is what I want, right? I need to make sure that this stuff is it's always going to be, you're not rushing manufacturing, trying to get it done because you need it to get out the door. Like you're trying to manufacture a product that is legit. Every single can that comes off the line, every single bottle is exactly the same. They take their time, they do it right. You're not rushing anything because you want the quality of the product to be good. Then you want the quality of the customer service to go in with it. Then you want the quality of the overall feel of the company, that they treat you not like a customer, but like you're one of the crowd or you're one of the team. All of that stuff put together. Like I always say, I don't have fans because I hate that term. I always say, like, I have friends, I have followers, but I don't have fans. It just doesn't make any sense to me to be like, I'm a star, I have fans. That's stuff stupid to me. So when you have that type of attitude and you're calling people on the phone yourself, and I sign every slip myself, like, after everything's printed out, I take them to the dining room table. I sit down, I write thank you on every single one of the receipts. I sign my name on it. And that stuff, I pack it in the box. So when they get that box, they open it up. It has my hand-signed receipt that I signed in there. The stuff in the box was put by my hands. It was taped up by me. The label's printed by me. It was brought to the post office by me, or I gave it to the postal guy when he came to get it. But everything was done by me. So when they get it, they know that if something is screwed up with this, it was Jerry. It wasn't like a company. It wasn't somebody down the line. It was him. He screwed up. And we know that if he screwed up, it was an accident. Like he's not out there doing stupid stuff, So that's kind of like where I'm at, like on an everyday basis right now.
That's great. No, I was laughing because I was thinking about like how much love you put into the supplements. It's almost like soul supplements, like soul food, like soul.
Right, yeah, it is. I mean, it's like my baby, Like I have them named. Like I came out with the Virginia sweet tea flavored amino because my wife really likes sweet tea, and I know it's a popular flavor. Iced tea is a popular flavor. We came out with the Wicked Watermelon, which was originally Perfect Post, which is now Intra Post. The Wicked Watermelon is, in Rhode Island we say wicked good, wicked cool, wicked awesome. Wicked watermelon, right? Watermelon's like one of my favorite flavors that we used to have like these little ices up there. So it's like even the supplements themselves have things on the labels and stuff that are a part of me. Like we have a flavor of supplement coming out called Brewberry. My old bulldog's name was Bruno, Brewberry, right? And now we may have another one that's called Brew Brady. Instead of Blueberry, it's Bruno and Brady together. So there's different things that the supplements are not just something you can see on the shelf. Like there's actual feeling. There's pieces of me in every, not literally, but pieces of me in every single one of these products that you hold in your hands. It's me that you're getting.